Hello and warm regards from Next Styles team. Welcome to another episode of Daily News Analysis. Today is 22nd October and let's see the news that we are going to discuss today. The first topic that we are having is about the India's total fertility rate. Now, UNFPA has calculated that India's total fertility rate has gone down 2.1, that is the replacement rate. So, India's total fertility rate is now 1.9, which is sub-replacement rate. Now, in this context, we are going to see how it is going to affect India. Secondly, the method through which this TFR is being calculated and what are the flaws in that. And if India's TFR is below replacement level, what are going to be the implications on India? The second topic is FATF on Pakistan. FATF or Financial Action Task Force. Now it is having its plenary meeting in October, and in this meeting, it may decide upon Pakistan being shifted to grey list. India has also submitted certain evidences which support that Pakistan has been supporting state-sponsored terrorism, which has affected India, especially the recent held the Pahalgam attacks. The third topic we are having is about National Commission for Minorities. Now, the chairman and members of National Commission for Minorities have been vacant for a long time. In this context, we are going to study about what is this body, what's the role it plays in the advancement and in protection of the minority rights. Then the next topic we are having is about the new peacekeepers. This topic is in the relation that the new countries or new forces like Qatar, UAE, Saudi Arabia, China, Turkey are playing an increasingly important role in mediations of the conflict that are happening all over the world. Now, if we see the initial part, where the Western countries used to play a very important role in negotiating and mediation part, now this particular power is being shifted towards the Asian countries. So in this context, we are going to explore the power of mediation that is being occupied by these new countries. Then the last topic we are having is about the rights of the domestic workers. Now this particular article is in the context that there is a vacuum regarding the regulation of domestic workers, and we are going to see how this lack or lacunae in the lack of regulating environment and lack of regulating legislature regarding domestic workers affects them, and what are the challenges in regulation of the domestic workers. So let's start with the first topic. The first topic is India's total fertility rate. Now the backdrop or the context for the news is that the UNFPA has revealed that India's fertility rate has gone below the replacement level. So that is an area of concern for us. Why? Because if the fertility rate is below replacement level, that means our population is going to age and then it will start declining. Now in this context, the relevance here is that it is relevant from GS paper 1, society, population and associated issues. Uske साथ it will have linkages with GS2 as well as GS3 that we are going to see. Now the news is that United Nations Population Fund has revealed the report State of World Population 2025 report. Now this report has pointed out that India's total fertility rate is 1.9, which is below the replacement level of 2.1. Now what does this mean? It means that in the coming future, our young population is going to decline and our population is going to age. That means the population will have more share of the people who are of the age group which is more than 60 years. Now this is economically, socially, on both aspects it is harmful for the country. Now second part is that we are moving from the phase or era of population explosion to the era of aging population. Population explosion meant that the population was increasing at an incredibly faster rate. India has seen a population growth rate of 18 to 21%. That means every year we have added 1/5 more people to our population. Now, with the decline in the fertility rate, which is 1.9 right now, according to this report, it is expected that in the coming future, our population is going to age. That means the deaths which are going to occur will be less than the number of births. So that means in the coming future, our population is going to see an inverted triangle type of growth. Something like this, in which the older age will be having more share, then will be the middle age, and then will be the child. So the youth population is going to be less in the coming future, which accounts for 15 to 59 years of age, that is the working age population. So as the working age population will show a decline, or the dependent population, that is the old age and the child population child population, if it is more than the working age population, that means the dependency will be more. That means the government's expenditure on the welfare schemes need to be more. Now in this context we are going to discuss this topic. Now there are two pertinent question. पहला pertinent question ये है कि जो methodology हम लोग use करते हैं TFR calculation के लिए, is it right or wrong? Is it reflecting the real conditions or not? The second thing is that is decline in TFR, that is India is having 1.9, is this decline is going to affect in a negative manner on the economic side, or there can be a flip side to that also? So that we are going to discuss. So let's start with the first part. First of all, let's understand what is total fertility rate. It is defined as the average number of children a woman bears by the end of her reproductive life. This reproductive life is considered as 15 to 45 years of age, 49 years of age to be precise. So it is 15 to 49 years of age of a female that is considered as her reproductive life. So how many child on an average the females are going to bear in this age group? Now this is the normal definition that we give. Now from the statistical point of view, now how we calculate TFR, this particular TFR is defined as the average number of children of a woman would have if she experiences the current age specific fertility rates throughout her reproductive years. That means जो currently this age specific fertility rates है, इसको अगर ऑब्जर्व किया जाए, इसी को अगर रेप्लिकेट किया जाए, तो क्या एक एवरेज फर्टिलिटी रेट आएगी, दैट इज नोन एज टोटल फर्टिलिटी रेट. नाउ दिस एज स्पेसिफिक फर्टिलिटी रेट मींस कि हम लोग देखेंगे 15 टू 19 इयर्स ऑफ एज के बीच में कितनी है, 20 टू 24 इयर्स के बीच में कितनी है, देन 25 टू 29, यानी 5 इयर्स के गैप के साथ वी आर गोइंग टू डिवाइड this whole age group of the females, and in each age group we are going to see what is the fertility rate, and we are going to replicate that this will be mirrored, or this will be the rate that will be experienced, or that will be replicated by the females. So that is how this particular total fertility rate is calculated. Now calculation process क्या है? First of all we are going to divide it into 7 5-year groups. This is a division. 15 to 19, 20 to 24, 25 to 29. तो इस तरह से हमने 7 पार्ट्स में इसको डिवाइड कर लिया. Now for each age group we are going to see how many births are taking place per 1000 of the women. For example, if 15 to 19 there are 1000 women, and in that age group 40 births are taking place of the child in a year. Then for 20 to 24 it might be 80, 25 to 29 it might be 200, 30 to 34 it might be 150. Then for 35 to 39 it might be 100, then 40 to 44 it might be 70, 45 to 49 it might be 5. So in this manner we are going to calculate the fertility rate for each group. Now with each group we are going to multiply it with 5, and we are going to add them up. So these are going to be added, and the addition, whichever addition comes, it will be divided by 1000. This is how the total fertility rate is calculated by UNFPA. Now this is the manner in which, the method in which this total fertility rate is calculated. Now in this calculation there is one assumption. The assumption is that the younger age group today, that is 15 to 19, are going to follow the similar fertility pattern of the older group. For example, 15 to 19 are going to follow, when they will come at that age, they are going to follow the same pattern which this today's 40 to 44 are following. Now this is the catch here, because this is an unrealistic assumption. So the limitations to this TFR calculation comes as, first of all, the assumptions are unrealistic. The fertility preferences evolve. Younger groups may not mirror the older age group reproductive behavior. That simply means कि जो younger age group अभी है वो वही वाला behavior नहीं follow करेगा, because education is increasing, and we have seen that also. Initially what was happening was कि पहले 19 to 24 age group में maximum births were taking place. Now it has shifted towards to 24 to 29 one, 25 to 29 वाले age group में, because of more education, increase in the marriageable age. So this assumption कि यही वाला behavior follow होगा आने वाले time में, ये सही नहीं है. The second is point in time nature. That means TFR is only giving a snapshot कि the current scenario what is going on. It is not giving the holistic picture of a woman's reproductive cycle. It may happen that if she is in today's age group of 15 to 29, of 25 to 29, she may not be bearing a child right now. She might be planning in the age group of 30 to 34. So that is only a snapshot, that is not giving the whole reproductive cycle, the picture of the whole reproductive life of the female. Then third is tempo effect. Tempo effect का मतलब ये है कि child birth is temporarily lowers the TFR, creating an artificial dip, even if woman eventually is going to have the same number of child in the coming age group. Then an overestimation in the future. अब अगर हम लोग अभी इसको नहीं मानते हैं तो आने वाले टाइम में those births are going to be giving an inflated figure for the TFR estimates in the future. Then exclusion of the certain age groups. That simply means कि there are certain countries, there are certain cultures in which the marriageable age is not 18 years. 15 years or below 15 years is also marriageable age. Those childbirths are not being calculated, first of all. Then there are certain societies in which these things are happening, although legally they are illegal, legally they are not validated, but still the marriage is happening, still the childbirths are happening, and those are not being reported also. So these are also not being included while calculating the TFR for any country. Now next is how the TFR stands or shifts in India. There are two trends. One is the urban and one is the rural areas. In urban areas, what we have seen is that there's a decline in the fertility in the age group of 15 to 24. That I have already told, because marriageable age अब बढ़ गई है, education अब increase हो गई है, और career जो है that has also become a priority for the females. So 15 to 24 age group में the fertility rate has declined. However, for the age group of 25 to 49, the fertility rate has increased. So it is indicating a postponement of the childbirth, not the reduction. Second, rural trend. There's a decline in 15 to 19 cohort. Cohort means group of the females that we are talking about. So in 15 to 19 group, there has been a decline, but 20 to 34 group, that has an increase. Again, there is a delayed fertility. Second, decline in 35 to 39 and above because of the old age. So there's a difference in the rural trend and in the urban trend. अर्बन ट्रेंड के अंदर जो एज फर्टिलिटी एज ग्रुप है वो किस में ज्यादा है, वो 25 टू 49 में ज्यादा हुआ है, whereas डिक्लाइन किस में है, 15 टू 24 के ग्रुप में आया है. इन द रूरल पार्ट द डिक्लाइन इज बिटवीन 15 टू 19 एंड इंक्रीज इज बिटवीन द 20 टू 34. उसके बाद फिर डिक्लाइन है. देन नेक्स्ट इज इम्प्लीकेशन ऑफ लो TFR. अगर फर्टिलिटी रेट डिक्लाइन करती है तो व्हाट इज गोइंग टू बी द इंपैक्ट ऑफ दैट. द फर्स्ट वन इज श्रिंकिंग लेबर फोर्स, बिकॉज as the fertility rate is declining, that means we are going to have less number of young people. So young population is declining. That simply means that the labor force is going to decline. And if the labor force is going to decline, that simply means that wage rates or the labor cost is going to increase. So it is going to ultimately make our production costly, and economy is going to see a downturn because the products are going to become more cost competitive. Second impact of this declining or shrinking labor force will be we are going to move towards the automatization, because as the population is declining, as the labor is becoming costly, then automatic machines की तरफ हम लोग move करेंगे. So that is going to the second implication of that. The third implication is that we are going to have less working population. If the less working population is there, that means the dependent population, that is the population from 0 to 15 age group and the population above 59 years age group is going to be more than the 15 to 59 age group, that is the young population, that is the working population. अगर working population से ज़्यादा dependent population है तो that simply means the burden on the welfare scheme will be more on the government. So that is going to be another implication of that. So there will be higher social welfare burden on the government, and it will be regarding pensions, healthcare and finances. Then there is going to be demographic imbalance also, because smaller young youth population will reduce the social dynamism and risk taking. When the young population is less, that means there is less energy in the population, that means risk taking, entrepreneurship is going to be less. So that is going to affect the economy in a negative manner. Then one more implication is there. When the labor force is costly, the labor force is scarce, that means it is less, then it is going to encourage immigration in the country. When the immigration is going to happen, that means the foreign labor is going to come in the country, and they are going to make changes with respect to society, with respect to culture, as well as with respect to demography. So if the coming immigrants are not getting conducive with the population, then it may lead to conflicts. For example, they are happening in Japan right now. Then changing family structures are also going to be there, because fewer caregivers are going to increase elderly isolation. As young people are less, they have to go and they have to work, and that they are the population which is working population, and dependents are upon them. So there will be less scope for them to give care to the elderly people, elderlies in the home. So there will be elderly isolation also. Then migration pressure, as I have told you, because of the labor gaps, it will increase reliance on the immigration. Then education shift will also be there. Education shift means that when we know that we are only having one child, so we are going to spend more upon the education and skilling of our child. So that is going to be a positive implication. Then employment shifts are going to be there, because labor shortages are going to alter the employment patterns in the country. Then economic transition, I have discussed you, automatization होगा वहाँ पे, and sustain productivity के लिए productivity होगी, increase करेगी inequality, because those who are having more resources will go for automatization and they are going to have more resources. Then population decline, because of this decrease in the young population, the future will be that there will be a trend towards the population decline. So that is going to be another impact. There will be shrink in the population, affecting the markets and the geopolitics. And this current declining TFR or its implication can be seen in the Western countries, the developed world. For example, Europe, it is there, America, it is there, and also in the developed East countries on the eastern side like Japan and North Korea. So they are observing all these implications of declining population. Now next is broader implications for India. India के लिए कैसे implication हो सकती है? First of all, economic concerns. The thing or the idea that if the total fertility rate is declining, that simply means that it is going to affect the economy in negative manner is not true. Why? जैसे Europe, USA, East Asia, there has been a declining TFR, but still these are developing countries. These are developed countries. They have shown a increase in the economic growth. So that is not true at all, because we need to direct our population in the right manner. We can counter this TFR. Second is missed demographic dividend. India's young population, India had a young demographic dividend which is going to stay, but we are not able to create enough employment opportunities which can contribute or which can resonate with the aspirations of the young population. तो जो उनकी डिमांड्स हैं, जिस तरह की नौकरी वो चाहते हैं, जिस तरह का जॉब करना वो चाहते हैं, जिस तरह का वर्क वो करना चाहती है यंग पॉपुलेशन, उस तरह की हम एम्प्लॉयमेंट अपॉर्चुनिटीज क्रिएट नहीं कर पा रहे, उस टाइप की इकोनॉमिक अपॉर्चुनिटीज हम क्रिएट नहीं कर पा रहे. तो वी आर मिसिंग अवर डेमोग्राफिक डिविडेंड. नेक्स्ट इज एजिंग पॉपुलेशन. The current elderly population size is independent of the present fertility rate. तो अभी जो गवर्नमेंट के ऊपर जो बर्डन है एल्डरली पॉपुलेशन का, वो आज की फर्टिलिटी रेट की वजह से नहीं है. So we cannot say that there is an urgent need for that. हाँ, in the coming future we need to focus upon this total fertility rate aspect also. Elderly care is a moral duty of the state. Its urgency does not require automatically with the lower TFR. Then next is, it's your turn. You have to attempt this MCQ and you have to post your answers in the comment box. And we move to the second topic. The next topic we are having is Financial Action Task Force on Pakistan. The plenary meeting for October is being held for FATF, and in this meeting, India is going to provide evidences that Pakistan has been supporting the state-sponsored terrorism. Now, Pakistan has promised that it is going to take steps to curtail the propagation of the terrorism on its soil, but it has been working in a counter manner. In this context, India wants that Pakistan should be shifted to the grey list, because by shifting into the grey list, Pakistan has to take some measures to curtail this terrorism which is affecting India. And Pakistan has been doing this because Pakistan is getting external support, financial support from the countries and the World Organization, and it is funneling this money towards this terrorist organization. Now, this topic is relevant from GS paper 3 as well as GS paper 2, internal security and international relations. Now, the news is that the meeting are going to be held from October 22 to 24, and over 200 jurisdictions are going to be observing and attending these meetings. Now, what is going to be the agenda for the meeting? The meeting is going to discuss the new mutual evaluation of countries' measures against the money laundering, terrorist financing and proliferation financing. Also, if we talk about the previous FATF actions, in June 2025, FATF condemned the Pahalgam terror attack and highlighted the role of financing in the terrorism. So, it is saying that terrorism should not be financed, since state-sponsored terrorism should be curtailed. Then in July 2025, it has bring out a report known as Comprehensive Update on Terrorist Financing Risk. For the first time, it recognized the state sponsorship as the key terror financing threat. So these are the actions that Financial Action Task Force has taken regarding the terrorism. Then state sponsorship includes, it has defined state sponsorship, it includes funding, logistic, material or training for the terrorist. So these are the four elements of the state sponsored terrorism, that is funding, logistic, materials and training. Now next is terror financing evidences against Pakistan. India has on time to time provided these evidences, and countries like USA and organizations, international organizations have accepted those things. For example, Indian agencies have reported that LET under Jamaatul Dawa has raised fund via online and offline campaigns to rebuild its Mudrike headquarters, which was destroyed by IF during the Operation Sindoor. Now, Pakistan government has itself provided around 4 crore rupees, and the total cost for reconstruction will be around 15 crores. Funds have been raised under a pretense of flood relief. So, in the disguise of flood relief, the funds are being raised for rebuilding the headquarters of terrorist organizations. India has flagged the repeated funding support of the banned outfit in the Pakistan. In September 2025, our Prime Minister has raised the issue on the SCO platform also, and on other platforms it has been raised consistently. 130 plus entities, terror entities and individuals are linked to Pakistan, and this has been confirmed by United Nations Security Council. The resistance force, which is a proxy for the Pakistan-based LET, is responsible for Pahalgam killing. This has been accepted by the US itself. So this is the role of Pakistan in the terrorist activities. Now, something about FATF. FATF is basically an intergovernmental organization which leads global action on three things. The first one is money laundering, then terror financing and proliferation financing. It sets the international standards to ensure national authorities can effectively go about illicit funds linked with drug trafficking, illicit arms trade, cyber fraud, and other serious crimes. As policy-making body, FATF works to generate necessary political will to bring about the national, legislative, and regulatory reforms in these areas. So basically, तीन उसके areas हैं: money laundering, terrorist financing, and financial proliferation. Secondly, whenever it takes any action, whenever it gives any guidelines, those guidelines become a force which acts upon the government to take necessary action, both legislative manner में भी, executive manner में भी. Thirdly, its guidelines or international standards help the governments in taking actions regarding drug trafficking, illicit arms trade, cyber frauds, and other serious crimes. So basically, this Financial Action Task Force work upon the money supply that is happening. If the money supply is cut off, these activities can be curtailed. The next thing is history. If we go about how this FATF was established. So FATF was established by G7 in 1989, and the objective was to examine and develop the measures to combat money laundering. Initially, the members were G7, European Commission, and other 8 countries. Thereafter, it was expanded, and its mandate was expanded in 2001 when terrorist financing was also included. Now, if we talk about the members, there are total 39 full-time members. India is part of the member. India has been a member since 1990. Pakistan is not a member of this, so India has an advantage over this thing. Then Russia initially was a member but was suspended in February 2023 in the wake of Russia-Ukraine war. Now, it works with FATF style regional bodies. There are regional bodies like Caribbean, Asia Pacific regional body. So it works with these regional bodies regarding the curtailing of the terrorist financing. The next thing is governance. One FATF president will be there, which will be elected by the FATF plenary. The FATF plenary is a decision making or the highest decision making body of this FATF, and it meets 3 times a year, usually February, June, and October. So this current meeting is of the October cycle. The recommendations of FATF, these are not legally binding, but the international organizations like World Bank, IMF, UNSC, they accept these recommendations and they work upon that. So they consider this as benchmark or standards for working. For example, if any country has been put in grey list or in the black list, these countries are also going to act in the manner FATF has recommended. That means they are going to curtail the funds. They are going to make the provisions more stricter for these countries so that FATF provisions can be implemented. Then over 200 jurisdictions, that means the countries, the regional groups have committed to comply with these particular recommendations of the FATF. Then there are two lists, one is a blacklist, one is a grey list. First of all, the blacklist, these are high risk jurisdictions subjected to call for action. That means whichever country goes in this list, they are having the financial sanctions upon them. There are basically three countries, North Korea, Iran and Myanmar. So these countries with serious strategic deficiencies to counter money laundering, terrorist financing and financing of proliferation. So whenever the countries are in the blacklist, so financial aid becomes a very difficult part to be for them. Second is the grey list. These countries have committed to resolving the identified strategic deficiencies within the agreed time frames. So within the time frames, they have to overcome those strategic deficiencies that they are having regarding countering the money laundering, terrorist financing and financial proliferation. These are the countries which are under the grey list. Now you can see Pakistan is not under the grey list currently. So India wants Pakistan to be added here. Then one more thing is their national risk assessment. This is a systematic process to identify and assess the risk of money laundering, terrorist financing within a country. India is very much engaged actively in this with this NRA as a part of its FATF commitments. Now last part is Asia Pacific Group on Money Laundering. Now there are regional groups, like there is a Caribbean group, there is an Asian group, there is an Atlantic group also. So this is an intergovernmental organization promoting FATF standards in the Asia Pacific region. So the basic objective of these groups is that in their region they are going to promote the FATF standards, so that these problems of money laundering or terrorist financing or financial proliferation can be addressed. Now it is an associate member of FATF. All these groups are going to be associate members. It has 41 jurisdictions, that means 41 countries and jurisdictions are there. Jurisdiction word doesn't mean a country here. It means that those areas which are independently governed. For example, India is there, China is there, and Hong Kong and Macau are also there. So there is a China, there is a Hong Kong, there is Macau, there is Taiwan. So these are jurisdictions. India is member of this Asian Pacific Group on Money Laundering since 1998. Pakistan is also a member of it. And FATF members commit to FATF recommendation on anti-money laundering and this terrorist financing. Now, with this, you have to attempt this MCQ and you have to post your answers in the comment box. And let's move to the third topic. The third topic we are having is National Commission for Minorities. The backdrop here is that the post of chairman and members in this NCM are lying vacant. Now, this topic becomes relevant from GS paper 2. That is mechanism, laws, institutions and bodies constituted for protection and betterment of the vulnerable sections. Now let's go about the news. The news is that the National Commission of Minorities has no chairman or members, and Delhi High Court has, while hearing a PIL, has sought response from the union government that why this is happening, why this body is lying without any chairman and the members. Now next thing of area of our concern is that what is this NCM? What are its functions? First of all, it is a statutory body. Statutory body means that whichever body has been constituted by the law. So the National Commission for Minorities Act was enacted by the Parliament in 1992, and in 1992 this body, National Commission for Minorities, was established. It functions initially as an advisory body, but the powers were enhanced up to the level of civil court by the 1992 Act. So this body was formed earlier, but the statutory recognition was given in 1992. Earlier it was formed through the executive action. Now this National Commission for Minorities, the functions include address the minority development and monitor the constitutional legal safeguard for the minorities. So whatever legal safeguards we have, whatever constitutional rights for the minorities that are there, it is going to assess that are these working for the minority development or not. Secondly, it is going to recommend the measures for the center as well as state governments for the minority protection. Thirdly, it is going to address any complaints of the rights violation of the minorities. Then it is also going to conduct studies, research and reports on the socio-economic and educational issues, so that further development of the minorities can be taken care of. Lastly, it is going to handle any matter that is referred by the central government, and one report it has to submit on annual basis to the central government regarding the status and development of the minorities. So basically general functions it has. Then the powers it have, the powers are of civil court. That means it can summon and examine the persons under oath. Secondly, it can ask for any document or public record from a government entity. Thirdly, it can receive evidence on affidavit, issue commission for the witness of the documents. Then we have the National Commission of Minorities. The composition will be like this: one chairman, one vice chairman, and 5 members nominated by the central government. And the chairman should be from the minority itself. Also, 5 members should be from the minority itself. And the minorities that are recognized by the government. See, government can add more minorities. For example, recently Jain minority was added under this commission. The minorities recognized are Muslims, Christians, Sikhs, Buddhists, and Zoroastrians or Parsis. So the question can be, the central government can specify additional minority communities. Yes, recently Jains are specified as the minorities under this particular act. Now with this, you have to attempt this MCQ and you have to post your answers in the comment box. The fourth topic we are having is new peacekeepers. Now context is that countries like Turkey, countries like Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE, China are being actively seen that they are playing a very important role in the negotiations in the conflict areas. So in this context, we are discussing this thing. Now the context is also that UN is nowhere seen. European countries are also not being seen. US is although trying to play an important role in negotiations, but the role of other Asian countries is increasing. So in some way, the power is shifting from the Western sphere to the Eastern or the Middle East. So in this context, we are discussing and what India should be doing to enhance its geopolitical footstep in the world. Now the relevance is GS paper 2, international relations, effect of policies and politics of the developed and developing countries on India's interest. Now the news is that countries like Turkey, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, UAE and China are emerging as the key mediators in the global conflicts. Mediation is now becoming a marker of the power as Western influence is now waning or is decreasing, as well as UN's influence and UN's role or United Nations role is also decreasing. So that is the context here, that is the news here, because UN should be playing a very important role in these negotiations, in the conflicts that are happening all over the world. If it is not going to work, then it simply means that the UN is going to become a defunct body. Even USA has, in its negotiation terms, have established a separate entity other than the UN to see over the peaceful resolution in this Gaza area. Now, first of all, examples: Pakistan-Afghan crisis. The talks are held in Doha. Earlier, it used to happen in European countries like Norway or Stockholm or Sweden. Then Gaza peace deal. It is again negotiated by US, but mediation and support is given by Egypt, Qatar and Turkey. Russia-Ukraine conflict. Middle East states have facilitated humanitarian measures and prison exchange. So in the recent conflicts that we are seeing, the negotiations are happening with the active participation of these Middle East countries. Now if we talk about individual countries, first of all Turkey. Turkey's strategic position is very crucial for it, because it is at a position which is at crossroads. On the eastern side it is Europe, नीचे की तरफ it is Africa, ईस्ट साइड में एशिया है, ऊपर की तरफ रशिया है, then मिडल ईस्ट है इस तरफ, एंड यहाँ पे टर्की है. So Turkey is connected with all these important regions and it is using it for this for leveraging it in the geopolitics. Now it has also set up an international peace and mediation division, and its intelligence unit plays a very important role in these negotiations. If we see the examples, Black Sea Grain Initiative with the help of Turkey, the prison exchange, which was a landmark exchange in which 26 individuals were exchanged between 7 countries, and the countries included USA, Russia, or Germany and Belarus. So these are a major power. These are the major powers in the geopolitics. With these, it has negotiated the peaceful deals. Then back channel Gaza negotiations are also, the Turkey is playing an important role. Now with these initiatives, with the role that it is playing in the geopolitics, in the negotiation, it is going to increase its power in NATO. It is going to increase its say in NATO. Now they are leveraging the mediation to expand the regional influence despite the partial involvement in the conflicts. Also, Turkey is involved partially in the conflicts like India and Pakistan. Pakistan was supplied drones by the Turkey, and it has been actively supported Pakistan. So in spite of that, Turkey is able to play an important role in the global negotiations. Then Qatar. Qatar follows a small state mega politics policy. It is first of all supporting groups like Hamas and Taliban to maintain its influence. Secondly, it is facilitating humanitarian exchanges in countries like Ukraine, which are much bigger than Qatar in size. It is engaging actively as a participant rather than a neutral mediator. So Qatar is also increasing its influence. Then Saudi Arabia and UAE. Saudi Arabia has negotiated in examples like Jeddah summit for the Ukraine conflict resolution. Then US-Russia meeting was also mediated by Saudi Arabia. It is actively working in Yemen and Sudan for conflict resolution. Last one is UAE. It is focusing on quiet mediation. For example, the prison exchange happened between Russia and Ukraine. Then the negotiation or mediation between Armenia and Azerbaijan conflict. Then humanitarian corridors in Gaza. Also, with respect to India and Pakistan ceasefire that happened in 2021, UAE has played an active role. So these countries from the Middle East are playing active role in the geopolitics, especially with respect to mediation of the conflicts. One more is there, China. China is both portraying itself as a great power as well as a peacemaker. As a peacemaker, it has done some work like Saudi-Iran detente, then conflict resolution in Yemen, Afghanistan, Ukraine, Gaza, also in Burma, then the conflict between Bangladesh and Myanmar. So China has been actively trying to bring out peace in these regions, although the motives can be ulterior. Then it has launched the International Organization for Mediation in Hong Kong for global South alternative to the Western platforms. So with these efforts, they are trying to portray themselves as one of the major powers in geopolitics. So it is enhancing their bargaining power and influence. Also, it is becoming a tool of diplomacy and display of power. So this is the objective of these countries. Now next is India's perspective, because when these rising powers are trying to increase their influence or increase their footprint in the geopolitics, India should also be doing that. And for India, it has a few advantages also. First of all, the experience India has. For example, in Korean War, the resolution of conflicts in Maldives, Nepal, and Sri Lanka, India has a practical experience of that. In the domestic part itself, the insurgencies that are happening, the Red Corridor problem that we had, all these have given a practical experience to India how to negotiate, how to mediate for the conflict resolution. Now, for India, it is very important that it should have a leverage and credibility with all the parties. Although India is having good relations with most of the world, except for few countries like Pakistan. Now, it comes only with active engagement in the regional issues, and India has in the past few years have increased its active participation with the countries. Our Prime Minister has visited a lot of countries, which has refurbished our relations with the countries. Without such influence, India cannot act as an effective mediator, as conflict resolution requires trust and recognition from all sides. To build this trust and recognition, India has worked actively. Now, in conclusion, mediation is no longer dominated by the West or UN. It is now a strategic tool for ambitious middle powers and rising state. And India has potential to reclaim its role in this evolving landscape of peacemakers. So this article is about the advice to to Indian government, that it should be playing active role in these mediations. Now with this, you have to attempt the MCQ and you have to post your answers in the comment box, and we move to the fifth topic. The last topic we are having is right of domestic workers. What is the backdrop? The backdrop is that Supreme Court has directed the Union government to enact comprehensive law outlining the domestic workers' right. The relevance is from GS paper 2, that the mechanisms laws for the protection of the vulnerable section. Now what is the news here? The news is that Supreme Court in January 2025 in the case Ajay Malik versus State of Uttarakhand has passed a verdict in which it has asked the central government to frame a comprehensive law regarding the rights of the domestic workers, because it observed that the domestic workers are largely unprotected without a comprehensive law. They frequently face the problem of low wages, unsafe environment, and extended hours, and without any grievance mechanism. and this is happening because there is a legal vacuum regarding this particular section of the society. Now, in this context, the Supreme Court has said that you have to frame a comprehensive law, and for that comprehensive law, you have to first of all make a committee. That committee has to submit the report within 6 months, and based upon the committee's recommendation, you can frame a comprehensive legal legislature or comprehensive law. Now, the problem is that this 6 months have passed and the current status is unknown. What has happened with this particular Supreme Court's verdict? Now, we move to the next part, that is the challenges that domestic workers face in the country. Now, first of all, the domestic workers, from which section comes to which section is actually instituting this domestic workers profile. First of all, they come from the vulnerable section, mostly are women. Secondly, the women from the scheduled caste and the scheduled tribes. Also, they may be from neighboring countries. So, particularly the vulnerable section is performing this domestic course of the society, domestic works of the society. They are already vulnerable. Secondly, they are also constituting the power dynamics also against them. That's why they face a lot of exploitation. They are prone to exploitation. The second thing, they are working in an environment which is unregulated. Why? Because the households cannot be regulated directly. Secondly, they are working at multiple locations. So the legal provisions like Wages Act or the inspections done on behalf of labor department, they can also not be performed. So the fragmented work environment and the informal employment is leading to low wages, difficulty in inspections, and exploitation of the household workers. Also, the risk include the harassment, sexual, mental or physical harassment, abuse, child labor and trafficking. So all these are problems with respect to the domestic workers. Then migrants and cross-border issues are also there because they lead to trafficking, and many times the workers are coming from the neighboring countries. They are being trafficked to the country, and by being trafficked, they are also not approaching the agencies or the enforcing agencies, the legal agencies. That's why this particular area becomes a gray zone or the dark zone, where the inspection or the legal provisions are not being enforced upon. Then there are inadequate legal and security measures are also there. They face problems with respect to welfare measures because as they are not accounted, so they are not able to take the welfare benefits of the government. They face the challenges of the housing. They don't easily get the houses. The houses are at a very high rate, leading to further exploitation of these domestic workers. Now, if we talk about the international and the legal measures that we have, the ILO Convention of 189, it talks about or recognizes the domestic workers' right, and it has been voted by India in favor, but India has still not ratified it. Multiple attempts have been made for passing a national legislation since 1950s. For example, NPDW has drafted Domestic Worker Regulation of Worker and Social Security Bill in 2017, but it was not enacted. The concern is that court-directed committees include subject experts, but no domestic worker representatives. So the voice of the domestic representatives is not being reflected in this committee, which was appointed by the Supreme Court. The next part is lack of national legal framework for domestic workers, how it impacts. First of all, exploitation, harassment, low wages, long working hours are persistent because there is no legal provision which can actually address these issues. Second is state variations. The benefits and the protections differ widely across the states. For example, Tamil Nadu and Karnataka are having some legal provisions, but other states are not having. So the domestic workers are more inclined towards going to these states. That can affect their demography also. Then enforcement gaps are there. Private households are hard to regulate. That is one major problem in implementing any legal provision if we have also. Then migrant vulnerability. The cross-state and cross-border workers lack standard protection. And moreover, the domestic politics, the state politics also adheres to the voters' interest. And the migrants are being ignored in these conditions. Then limited legal access is there. Workers struggle to claim rights or redress their grievances because the local authorities are also not very much supportive in the wake of this vacuum for this national legal framework. Then socio-economic exclusion is also there. Poverty, housing insecurity, and marginalization are continuing because we are not having a legal framework which is highlighting the rights of these domestic workers. Then what are the recommendation? What should be there that should be in this national legal framework? First of all, minimum wages should be there. Then registration and monitoring. All the employees, agencies and workers should be registered with the state government. The workbook should be issued recording for employment details, maintained and endorsed monthly by both employer and the worker. Then sexual harassment protection should be provided. Local complaint committee under POSH Act should be established at the panchayat and the urban local bodies, improving access to the women workers. Then housing and welfare. Structured solution need for domestic worker housing and financial security rather than the ad hoc crisis relief. Then lastly, we have two cases, the Tamil Nadu and Karnataka. Both have enacted this Domestic Workers Act. Now for Tamil Nadu, Welfare Board under Tamil Nadu Manual Workers Act actually addresses the issue for domestic workers. It provides for pension, maternity benefit, child education assistance and accident relief. The challenge is that only few are registered and only registered are getting these benefits. Wages often below stipulated 37 to 39 per hours. Then next is Karnataka. The act actually regulates working condition and mandates employer registration of the workers. Then written employment contract including wages and working hours. Then minimum wages, overtime pay and weekly holidays. And employers contribute 5% of the wages to the welfare fund for the domestic workers benefit. Now based upon the discussion, you can attempt this MCQ and we conclude for the day. Thank you very much.